So what if I told you that a plan is currently in place for communist China to be the most dominant superpower in the world? That right now, as you watch this video, the Chinese government is infiltrating sensitive and proprietary information of governments around the world, including ours. And that the World Economic Forum is not only allowing it to happen, but actually supporting it along with other global entities like the International Monetary Fund and the United Nations. Now, I know what you're thinking. Daniel, is this going to be a video where you just bash the Communist Party in China? Yeah, that's exactly it. Now, with that said, my job is to release content sharing real truths that pertain to our freedom, and occasionally I'm going to call out BS when I see it. And boy, is there a lot of BS with this one, some of which include the CCP violating global laws on privacy, data collection, and cybersecurity. I mean, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if this video gets suppressed within the YouTube algorithm with how much I've researched and discovered about China's digital reach. Which, I guess that's my way of saying click that like button so that this information can be shared with as many people as possible. Okay, so China. Let's first talk about China pretty much being the financial shark of the whole world. And in doing so, I want to start with this right here. Now, I don't know about you, but this kind of looks like a train map. But what this really is the Silk Road Initiative, also known as the Belt and Road Initiative. Now, it's expected to be completed by the year 2049, but its overall goal and objective is to create Chinese economic influence, power, and control in the form of gas and oil pipelines, railroads, and economic ports pretty much all throughout the eastern part of the world. Now, the original picture you just saw that outlines the Belt and Road Initiative is originally from an article that states, "The Belt and Road will change the shape of the world economy and world politics, returning us to a time when China occupied the center of global networks." It continues by saying, in 20 or 30 years, some of the new Belt and Road projects will likely stand as the highest example of what human ingenuity can achieve in its drive to master natural forces. Now, I wouldn't have a problem with this article except for the fact that it was written, published, and heavily pushed by none other than the World Economic Forum. And in doing more research, I discovered that entities like the World Economic Forum and the International Monetary Fund have heavily pushed for this initiative, despite the fact that many countries around the world with democracies have strongly pushed against it, calling it a debt trap set up by China for other countries that are involved in this initiative. But even despite all that, it's still supported by the World Economic Forum and the International Monetary Fund, including reasons such as the International Monetary Fund stating that this initiative will increase the financial inclusion of lower-end countries. And of course, the World Economic Forum stated that the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, offers a new development paradigm by investing in green infrastructure, which is necessary to avoid the irreversible carbon lock-in effect on global climate change. Which, by the way, speaking of them, I just love the fact that the World Economic Forum praised China for how well they handled the pandemic, despite it now being a fact with real evidence that it was created in a lab with ill intentions on behalf of China. I don't know. Just a thought. But to extend this point even further, according to the Harvard Business Review, in total, the Chinese state and its subsidiaries have lent about 1.5 trillion in direct loans and trade credits to more than 150 countries around the globe. This has turned China into the world's largest official creditor, surpassing traditional official lenders such as the World Bank, the IMF, or all OECD creditor governments combined. So not only is China looking to build this giant infrastructure, but it will take advantage and exploit resources of a lot of these countries in the eastern part of the world, but they've also become the loan shark of the whole entire world. But honestly, where things get really shady is when you look into the conditions of the debt that China is giving to other countries. Because for one, 50% of China's loans to developing countries go unreported, meaning that these debt stocks do not appear in the gold standard data resources provided by the World Bank, the IMF, or credit rating agencies. On top of that, Chinese official loans have collateral clauses so that China may be treated preferentially in the case of repayment problems. So all in all, when issuing out these loans to other countries, they're purposely vague and ambiguous in reporting what they loan out. And during sticky situations, everyone involved besides China gets screwed. Sure. Sounds good to me. But the most unfortunate part is that these unfair conditions destroy the small and the poor countries the most, as the same article by Harvard Business Review states that a dozen of these countries owe debt of at least 20% of their nominal GDP to to China. And this is what creates a financial hamster wheel in which many of these countries, unfortunately, will never be able to progress. Now, at this point, a few of you that are maybe a little bit more twisted than others may be wondering, well, Daniel, maybe it's not a bad thing that China is the next dominant superpower in the world. And well, that brings up a good point, because it's not just the financial and economic world that China is looking to dominate over the next coming years, but it's also their overall power and influence over the whole world. In fact, I want you to look at these photos. These are images of the African Union headquarters building. And what's crazy is that that building is just one of 186 total buildings that China built for Africa as quote-unquote gifts. So hey, it looks like China's being really nice without a hidden agenda, meaning that they probably do really great as the world's dominant global superpower. Right? Wrong. You see, throughout the last 3 years, multiple reports have come out showing real proof that the Chinese Communist Party actually placed listening and video surveillance devices hidden within the buildings they developed for various African governments. In fact, in 2018, the French newspaper Le Monde reported that China had installed listening devices in the headquarters. The report alleged that servers in the AU headquarters were secretly sending data to a computer system in Shanghai each night between midnight and 2 a.m. And this is very worrisome, considering that when you look at the 186 total buildings China built for various countries throughout the African continent, those include presidential residences, ministries of foreign affairs, and parliament buildings. As in, these guys have gone as far as putting audio and visual equipment in the personal homes of some of these African presidents. I mean, where is Black Panther when you need him?
We don't do that here.
Oh, and by the way, I forgot about this part. Huawei, which is one of China's tech giants and also actively working with the CCP, has built more than 70% of the continent's 4G networks and at least 14 intragovernmental ICT networks, including a data center in Zambia that houses the entirety of the government's records. Now, when you look at this from a big picture standpoint, it seems that the overall objective for China is not only to collect data on African citizens and its governments, but also to exploit the continent for its many resources and maybe to one day even colonize it. Now, what's sad is that it doesn't just end with Africa. If you look at Latin America as a whole, it's reported that China, between the years of 2005 and 2020, they together loaned some $137 billion to Latin American governments, which during that time frame, countries like Venezuela, just like countries mentioned previously in this video, have fallen into debt traps set up by state-owned Chinese financial institutions. Now, with all that said, China's power and influence is undoubtedly growing, which, hey, history consistently shows patterns of new superpowers replacing old ones. But for me, where the BS is how they're going about it, especially considering that just recently, China state-backed hackers were caught compromising at least 6 US state government networks. But of course, what I find most interesting is China's relationship with the World Economic Forum. Because if China is collecting massive amounts of data with countries such as Africa, Latin America, pretty much all of the eastern part of the world, and the United States, well, why wouldn't the World Economic Forum and the IMF and even the United Nations work with China in bringing forth something like the Great Reset? Which, by the way, if you'd like to watch a video that we released last week providing you the most recent update on the developments of the Great Reset, I'll have that video for you guys in the end screen. And of course, I would also love to hear your thoughts about what you think about this whole situation in the comment section below. So with that said, guys, share this video with as many people as you can. And if you're feeling extra generous, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And until next time, my friends, I'll see you guys in the next one.